So how does this account provide benefit? Well, first, the money you contribute to the first home savings account is money that you no longer have to pay taxes on. So if you contribute 8 grand, your income that you get taxed on, the taxable income reduces by 8 grand. So let's say you make 100 grand a year and you put 8 grand in the first home savings account. Instead of getting taxed on 100 grand a year like you normally would, you'll get taxed on 92 grand a year, which is significant tax savings. If your tax rate is about 30%, you're saving 30% of 8 grand. So somewhere around high 2000 mark. So about 2,800 bucks, perhaps 2,600 bucks. I don't have a calculator. 8 times 0.3, $2,400. That's better. Okay, next up is tax-free growth. Investments held in the FHSA can produce income, whether that be capital gains income from sale of a stock, interest income from a bond or a GIC or a money market fund, or dividend income from businesses by owning the stock of that business. It's tax-free, just like in all the other accounts. Then when you remove money from the FHSA, you can remove it without paying any tax. So that's not the same with the RSP, where you remove money from the RSP, ideally later in life when your income's lower and you're taxed less when you remove the money. And that income from the RSP is taxed like regular income. So the first home savings account, as long as you use it to buy a home, that's your first home, you don't pay tax on withdrawal. So let's go through a very specific example of how this account works. So I'm going to go down to a table here that I built. Let's assume you are, like me, buying a house in, let's say, 5 years. So 5 years, you're going to buy a house. You intend to max out the first home savings account, 8 grand a year. Great. And 5 years, way too short for investing in stocks. Stocks can crash like they did in 2008 by 56% and take 5 years to recover. You're going to fail to meet your goal. Crashes can be worse than that. You could still be in the negative after 5 years. The US market, for example, at year 2000, if you just start investing then, you might still be underwater in 2010 after the 2008 crash, for example. So for this 5-year time horizon, I have it in a short-term bond fund earning 4%. So here's the interest you earn, 320 in the first year. In the second year, you have earned 320, plus you've added your 8 grand, another 8 grand. So you earn interest on a total of $16,320. So 8 grand times 2, plus the 320 of interest earned in year 1. Now that's $653 of interest. You can see how the interest is starting to snowball here. And in year 5, you earn almost 2 grand of interest, and you've contributed 40 grand with a total account value of 45 grand. So not bad. That could be used for a down payment on a house. So you might say, where are the tax savings? Here are the tax savings. This is for someone who earns about 100 grand a year in Ontario with a 35% marginal tax rate. If you earn, 80 grand a year, you're still going to have about a 30% marginal tax rate, meaning any extra dollar earned is taxed at 35%. That's federal and provincial tax combined. So if you contribute 8 grand in year 1, you normally would have paid $2,800 of tax at 35% on that 8 grand of income. But because you put it in the first home savings account, you no longer pay tax on the income, and this $2,800 of tax gets returned to you on your tax return. Or you can use a form that the CRA will say, yeah, your employer is good to reduce the tax removed from your paycheck, so you don't have to wait till tax return time and you just get higher pay because less taxes are deducted from your employer. To do that, you have to fill out the T1213. That's what I do to get my money back as soon as possible to maximize time in the market. So every year you contribute 8 grand. Every year you save $2,800 at a 35% marginal tax rate. That amounts to most of the tax savings. In addition, remember how you were earning interest income in this account? Well, if you had those investments in, say, some other account, you would pay tax on that interest income at this 35% marginal tax rate. So $320 would be taxed at 35%. You would normally pay $112 of tax on that $320 of interest income. But because it's in the first home savings account, you save that $112 that you otherwise would have paid to tax. And as the interest payments are growing over the years, here's the interest earned, you get more tax benefits. So $1,733, 35% of that, $600. You save that by having the investments in the FHSA. If you're not investing and earning interest income, then that tax sheltered growth is irrelevant. So the total tax savings are just the interest income tax shelter effects plus the fact that you put money in is tax deductible, reducing your taxable income, resulting in an effect where the money you contribute, you don't pay tax on it. It's pre-tax dollars you contribute to the account. So over 4 years, for example, this is my situation, I can expect to save about 12 grand that I otherwise would have paid to tax. And that 12 grand helps me buy a house. For 5 years, someone at a 35% marginal tax rate can expect to save almost 16 grand of tax, which is pretty awesome. So there you have it. There's the benefit of the first home savings account.